Check 1 2 1 2. Dah on. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Khabar semua. Thank you for come here today. I need to explain the new SOP. New SOP because I know a lot of the rakyat is confused. I don't know why they're confused. It's actually very easy. The new SOP is almost the same as the old SOP. And the old SOP was just like the old new SOP. Senang je. So if you have any question, please ask question. Ya dia, apa dia? Alcohol. Alcohol categorized by the National Security Council as non-essential. Therefore, banned. Tak boleh jual. Is banned. Tak boleh. Cannot. Lagipun alcohol is no good for the SOP. Because when people are drinking, then they come out, wow, suddenly they love everybody. They see the people, the friend, they want to hug the friend. I love you, brother. Oh, you are like my brother. Tak boleh. Ni patah SOP. The SOP is broken. Tak boleh. 1 meter. Must keep away. Any other question? Cigarette, rokok. Rokok is also non-essential. Tapi boleh jual. Why? Because it's essential to the cigarette addict. You don't know. If you are not a smoker, you will understand. Do you smoke? You don't smoke. Where you from? Police. No wonder lah. You don't know. Cigarette addict, they must get the cigarette. If they don't get, it will be a problem. Tak dapat rokok, dia suddenly like geram je macam tak boleh. We must look after our addicted rakyat. We must take care of them. Lagipun, if you have no cigarette, then the rakyat, what happen to them? What will happen? They will turn to heroin. Macam mana tu? Do you know how difficult it is to shoot up heroin when you are doing Zoom conference? Susah tu. Tengah Zoom, you want to you nak ikat ni. Susah. Cannot. At least dengan rokok boleh. Rokok you just light under the table. Senang tu. Apa? Do I smoke? It's not about me. I'm not important myself. It's about the rakyat. The rakyat, we must look after them. So, I think macam ni, kalau apa-apa, there's nothing else, I just nak pergi Rokuzen, pergi my friend restaurant. Not, I take away from the restaurant because now cannot eat at the restaurant. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum. Welcome to What's Going On Malaysia. It is a Monday evening. First of all, a very happy birthday to Duli Yang Maha Mulia Agong. Officially, today his birthday. I don't know whether it's his real birthday or the official birthday or the official real birthday, but whatever it is, happy birthday to Duli Yang Maha Mulia. Guys, how are you all doing? First of all, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Can you hear me? We are live on Facebook. Harith Iskandar. We are live on Facebook, Federation of Malaysia Business Associations. And we are live on YouTube, Harith Iskandar. Can you hear me? I can already see a whole bunch of comments from people coming in who've already been watching. Timothy William, Uva Rajan, Francisca Yu. What else? I just want to check. Is everybody cool? You can hear me? Is it all good? Great. We have got an awesome show for you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be really delving into the tough questions and the tough talk. Before we begin, I just want to say something. I just at this moment saw on Twitter, Nicole David is in the process of shooting a biopic, a film about herself. There's going to be a film about Nicole David. I can't wait. Nicole David is my absolute hero. She is a mega superstar in the world of sports. I believe she has been world champion more times in her particular field than any other sports person in the world. Something like that. It's some kind of record. But my God, I'm so happy. Nicole David, I just wanted to share that news with you guys out there. If you are a sports fan, you need to be a fan of Nicole David. Okay, we are going to jump straight into the topic, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, if you saw the poster, the question was, is the government doing enough for the rakyat? Is the government doing enough for Malaysia? This is an interactive show. I want you to let me know what you think. First of all, if you are on Facebook, please share this Facebook Live right now. At the bottom of your screen somewhere, on your PC or on your phone device, click share. Share this Facebook Live right now. The more people who watch it, the more engagement we have, the more explosive the show is going to be. Secondly, please comment on the comments. I'm going to be, we're going to be bringing up your comments as well. For example, let me just show you how we'll bring up the comments. For example, right there. So there we go. Wee Chai Xian says she's amazing. Obviously talking about Nicole David. So we're going to be bringing up her comments. Alvin Tay says, I hear people are still organizing tabligh functions during MCO. Another controversial issue, which we may or may not be talking about. I'll be bringing it up there. So please comment as much as you can and ask our guests as many questions as you can. And really, let's get into the meat of the matter. I am so happy and I'm so honored to have these two gentlemen as my guests today. Let me just give you a little bit of a background. They are both involved in something called the Federation of Malaysian Business Associations, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a conglomeration of over 262 members who make up a network of businesses. So 262 businesses in this network, and they have been working tirelessly, spell that. They're very tired. Let's just say they're tired, but they don't stop working. Tireless. Forget it. English was not my strong point. They've been working very hard during the MCO and the MCO 2.0 and the MCO 3.0 and the CMCO and the RMCO, all MCOs working together, petitioning, meeting up with government departments, meeting up with anybody who's anybody to try and push forward basically for the rakyat, for the businesses, for the people. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to welcome them onto the screen right now. I'm going to bring Dr. Wira Amir Ali Maidin, as well as Dr. A.T. Kumararaja. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Hi, Hari.
Hi, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. Of course, as most people may or may not know you, but Dr. Wira Amir, if they see your name Maidin, I'm sure they will know that you might have something to do with that Maidin pops around the corner. I see once in a while, but you know, maybe we're not going to get into that. And ATK, I like the way you've called yourself ATK. So I know you're Dr. A.T. Kumararaja. What does AT actually stand for?
AT is an acronym. It's already in my IC. But that's actually stands for my dad's name and my grandfather's name. So Armugam and Thambiraja.
Oh, okay. But in your IC, it actually says AT.
AT, yes.
Wow, that you must have gotten a lot of shit in school from your friends. you had the kind of name that people be making.
No, that's why I made that acronym up. So ATK, it's easier to mention because otherwise the name.
ATK, yo. I just got it. That's how bodoh I am. I just got it. The ATK. I got it. Okay, guys. You know what? The comment section is exploding right now. Before we get into that, there's actually a question, a very early question on YouTube directed at AT. It's not to do with the topic, but I wanted to spend 2 minutes talking about this, if I may. Someone on YouTube was asking about ivermectin and why it was not used to treat COVID in Malaysia. Are you in any position to comment about that?
Not really, but I know that ivermectin is now being considered It is being considered because there's two schools of thought to it, and it's because an anti-parasitic drug. I think India was the first to go ahead with it, but I think WHO has made some progress. I think Malaysia, the KP, the Country Hisham has mentioned that he is considering using it, but it's not gone mainstream yet.
Okay, why the sudden controversy? Why are suddenly people like talking about this? Why suddenly it's become an issue?
No, I suppose ex-president Donald Trump had got a lot to do with it when he said chloroquine is one of those which can cure or help in management of COVID. So ivermectin is one of those that's being considered, but hasn't gone really mainstream, at least not in Malaysia yet.
Okay, great. Thank you for spending that 2 minutes with us. Let's get into the meat of the topic. Is the government doing enough for the right? Now we're just going to. I'm just going to give Dato' Wira Amir maybe just ask you first. Just a simple answer to that question in your opinion, and we will delve into the details later. Government enough? What do you say?
You know, Harit, for all of us, whatever the government does is never enough, right? We all are greedy fellas, all right? Government, never enough. But actually, when you look at it, the government has been doing a lot, okay? If you look at all the schemes, so many of them, all the Prihatins and whatever scheme the government comes up with, there are many schemes. Even for the latest one, okay, the government is still doing. They're giving 600 ringgit wage subsidy, 10% off electricity bill, $1,000 grant for the SMEs for June, and 500 for July. Is that enough? Of course, it's not enough. In the current economic scenario, no doubt the government is focusing on the B40, all right? But I think the crux of the matter, being many of us are businesses, our colleagues also are businesses, right? I think it's never enough, but at least there's some part being channeled to the B40s. 1,000 ringgit, 500 ringgit here, and they got so many other schemes, right? Okay, they can go to BSN, they can take out the money from EPF. There's so many things, but primarily focusing on B40. I think the important thing here is that I find that the M40 and the T20 get forgotten. Not only the individuals, if they have left their jobs and whatnot, and we'll talk about it, the bank moratorium and all that. But the businesses here, I think the one that are suffering, real suffering, are the businesses. And not necessarily the smallest businesses, not necessarily the machikia. There's also another level above machikia. The so-called F&B outlet, the kedai mama, the kedai runcit. Don't ever think just because essential business like kedai runcit are open, they are doing very well. Because if there's no money with the riot, if the riot doesn't have the money, they will not have enough money to spend. So total basket, total sales are actually going down.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Other than the fact that people may be actually spending less, at the end of the day, we're not even allowed to go out. So, for example, just before the MCO, when businesses were allowed to open, but you were only allowed to open at 30% capacity, let's say, for example. Now, with 30% capacity, there's no way you've designed your business to be able to even break even on 30% capacity. So, although the idea that businesses are open, number one, people are not allowed in. Number two, people are not going out. Number three, people are not spending. So this is now almost a year and a half into this. And yes, I agree with you. Governments have been focusing on the B40 and I don't know, maybe neglecting the M40s and the T20s. AT, if I was to ask you the question, is the government doing enough? What would you say?
I think the government has done enough, but there's so much happening, Harit, because I think it's now turned into more noise than actually music, in the sense that just adding on to what Dato' Wira said, in terms of the stimulus packages, we have gone through 7. We have already had 3 this year, 4 last year, and all of it put together, we have $380 billion supposedly injected into the economic system, whether it's a subsidiary or a grant or a outright cash in the hands of the people. And 60 billion of them is actually cash handouts. But despite all this going on, I think there's very little that's trickled down to the Akarumbi. While a lot of these programs are B40 centric, but again leaving out the middle class, because the middle class gets confused between institutions and individuals. I think at the B40 it's very easy to identify individuals, but as you go up in the socioeconomic strata, I think there's a lot of this confusion about they already own companies, they're professionals, they have jobs which pay reasonably well. And even if you go much higher, they become institutionalized. So in those ways, the companies are actually being left out. And the mid-tier, the bigger players do suffer the same amount, if not bigger. While the government's earlier intention was to put food on the table, but I think those intentions must evolve, and I think that much has not really happened. And all those confusion in terms of intercoordination between ministries and agencies, it worked very well in the first few months. But as you go, we would presume that there would have been a lot of learning from that episodes. But what has happened is a lot of disfranchised work has happened. So now we are more confused than we were when we started off MCO1. MCO1, we were very much coordinated, very clear, precise on what's happening and what's not happening. Now there's absolute chaos outside there.
Well, exactly. So as one of our viewers has just pointed out, Dam Nava Ratnam says, with the constant flip-flops and U-turns, it must be difficult for businesses to operate. Should companies not place more pressure on MITI and other ministries to get things right on the get-go? Now, it's very easy to ask, should we place pressure on MITI? Wirame, you are shaking.
Harit, I think seriously, we work with MITI. MITI has an excellent WhatsApp group. Seriously, if you ask my personal opinion, they could be the only ministry really working the hardest actually to get the whole of Malaysia industry together. Seriously, okay. That WhatsApp group with all the captains of the industries are there. The KSU, the TKSU, even the officer Azmi, they're active in replying the WhatsApp. Many ministries, you can keep sending WhatsApp, okay, no reply. But this is one ministry, I'm telling you seriously, from the bottom of my heart, the industries must be really thankful. The business people must thank them. I mean, they are the one getting all the brickbats, okay? Approving 104,000 business to operate. What kind of lockdown is this? Is this a lockdown? But people sometimes just don't understand. When you approve a business, okay, it's a whole supply chain. We have got 1.2 million businesses out there. So if there's approval for 100,000 businesses, it's only 10%. And I'm telling you, so many more businesses have not got approval. So much noise out there, the MITI kind of pulls a handbrake, and we find so many things are not approved. Because so many things not approved, so many things cannot happen. The whole supply chain is just not allowing a restaurant to open or allowing a supermarket to open. Supermarket just cannot open, The vegetables come from Cameron Highland. The vegetables are being imported, Somebody got to send it to us. We got to sell. We got to buy the plastic bag that we put in, which is a no-no now. But there are boxes we need to buy. So a lot of things that is really necessary. And unfortunately, seriously, MITI gets all the brickbat, but they are in the forefront. I wish, seriously, all other ministries will have their own WhatsApp group, be as proactive as MITI. Sometimes when you're in the front, you get all the brickbat. By end of the day, I think MITI is working for the Rakyat, just like all of us. So at least I can say that, because I think we work very closely with MITI. I'm sure our Dato' AT will say the same thing. All right, they are really there when you need them, and they keep answering questions. But unfortunately, they are not the only spokesperson, right? You see, I think the flip-flop part is this is a problem. The first MCO, the second MCO, we needed to get approval only from MITI. It was very easy. You go to the system is very good. Of course, hiccup here and there, then it was all okay. But I get everybody gets in, why is MITI approving, my ministry, I should approve, and all this kind of thing, whether it's an ego play or power play or whatever, and it all got messed up. Now we are back to MITI for approval again. So I guess when you're in a leadership position, when you want to lead, you have to be ready to get all the brickbats.
Okay, Dr. Wira, you have just said something that, in that context, will become a very unpopular opinion, because on social media, MITI kena hantam je. Everyday MITI ni, MITI tu, Azmin Ali dia, Azmin Ali that. They have just been whacked left, right, and center. But I take what you're saying, that if you're actually, I like the idea of all these captains of industry on a WhatsApp group. Like, just, do you guys share stupid videos? Like,
No, we don't. We don't. It's very strict that there's no happy birthday in that group. Okay, all right. No, no good morning. There's no happy birthday. All right. It's all serious, only work related. But the most important thing is that it's not that 104,000 that's been approved. Imagine how many people are being employed. How many people are being employed, because currently basically unemployment is the biggest issue. People just don't have money, and I think someone up there doesn't understand when people say that people just don't have the money. We in the hypermarket, supermarket business can feel it when our basket per basket goes down, when people start going downwards. Instead of buying a kilo, they buy half a kilo. When we have promotion before, 3 packet of roti, boom, 1 free. Now they say it's okay, tak payah 1 free, saya beli 1 cukup. Because why? Not enough money. There's not enough money out there. And I'm telling you, with all these government packages that have been going out, for what it's worth, it's going out right in the industry. The day the government releases the pre-Hatin package, our business double. That means the people out there really do not have money. So politicians, please hear this. Stop giving your buckle. There's an EMCO going on in Manjoy, and I have a hypermarket in Manjoy there, and they ask us to close tomorrow. I say, it's not the business. Where are these people going to get the things from? And they say, we're going to give them the fruit basket, the food basket. You know what's the food basket? Beras, gula, apa lagi? Minyak masak. That's it. There's no sayur there. There's no chicken there. Where are these people going to get real food for 2 weeks?
Sorry, you've been asked to close that hypermarket that you were talking about?
Yeah. We asked to open only for tomorrow because we have a hypermarket in Manjoy. All right. So EMCO, a whole of Manjoy, we are the only hypermarket there. See, it is not about making money, It's not money. It's not money, all right? But it is service to the rakyat. These people need food, and we are right there, okay? They say, oh, takut overcrowding, but then send the rela in, send the police in, let people queue. You see, people don't seem to understand what we're supposed to be doing. This is MCO, Movement Control Order, not to stop people from buying. It is to stop people from moving too much. All right. So if you can control, they can rela there and say, masuk 20 orang beli barang keluar. Masuk 20 orang beli barang keluar. But at least they get what they want to get. You can't shut down. I think people must understand. Yes, we need a lockdown. But these are essential. What is essential? Itu lain cerita lah. Itu cerita panjang lagi. Itu kita boleh cerita panjang. What is essential? But that one I let you start the thing, and I will tell you what is essential to me.
All right.
To me, my wife is very essential to me.
Ooh, that's a very good line. And that's Amir. You are a smart man. This salute there. Just managed to slip that in. Well done, sir. So, Doc, I'm going to call you Doc. AT. I love ATK. I'm going to call you ATK. Like, what's ATK? So, yeah. So, Dr. Rita Maiden was talking about, hypermarkets and talking about, people just basically wanting to get the essentials. And let's talk from a personal point of view. Doc, yourself, as are you the chairman of the Federation of Malaysian Business Association?
No, I'm pro-term vice chairman.
pro tem vice chairman. I know exactly what that means.
That means put the we wait for the chairman to be incapacitated first, then we start working.
Oh,
The man who does, when you have a deputy chairman, they mean the guy who does all the work. Haha.
the actual guy who the coolie lah.
The coolie. We always need coolies around here, right? So that's the coolie lah.
I'm not going to ask who the chairman is lah, because he's probably watching.
No, Dato Malik, very nice man. Dato Malik, excellent man, an excellent PR man.
I've no doubt about that. So AT, I know we kind of set this up. Is the government doing enough? There's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of upsetness. And I think all of this stems from, in my opinion, a lack of proper communication. Because I, for one, I am privileged to be in the WhatsApp group that you guys in, and I see the work you're doing. I see the ministries you're meeting. I see the meetings you're involved in, and the push that you're putting there. But as far as social media is concerned and the people are concerned, it's like, like you say, like, MITI, focus on MITI, whack. B40s are getting too much, whack. Okay, let's not talk about are they doing enough or not enough. In your opinion, AT, what are a couple of things that need to be done, have to be done, and you wish were done immediately, just to alleviate what is happening right now, the anger?
I think we must look at this whole COVID episode as a completely like a wartime approach, and take a very different approach, because now many things, right? So whether it is the banks that are not giving out enough, whether the government that's delivery system that's not really working, or whether even it's the private individuals who are not really following the SOPs, as we would say. So all this is primarily because it's business as usual. Nobody is looking at the pandemic as a wartime thing. And we have a very large administrative team that seems to be working at the same pace. While a lot of good work has gone through, and I think a lot of civil servants have stepped up to the game, but I think we must come back to this wartime approach and say, look at this pandemic. Say, one of the very good reasons, right? So earlier we succeeded very well. Last year, simply because we had a very coordinated effort. When it comes to health, we only had the DG of Health speak. When it comes to every other matter in terms of the SOPs and the lockdowns or the whatever type of MCUs that we had Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri speaking. And I think while whether everything was done right or not, but it was well coordinated. Now we have a lot. This whole MITI episode, I think we must be able to dissociate the civil service guys in MITI. That WhatsApp group that Dr. Veera mentioned is primarily run by the civil service, the KSUs, the TKSUs, and officers of MITI. I think they've done an extremely good job. But then there is also the political leaderships that seems to be a bit disconnected. And that's where I think a lot of the anger is being channeled towards. So we must come back. While we have the security cluster, now when you want to talk about health outcomes, right? So we look at what the DG of Health is saying. But when it comes to economic outputs, everybody seems to wanting to talk. Everybody wants to seem to have a hand in the pie. So we've got 15 ministries which are managing economic activities, whether it is the small entrepreneurs, the micro entrepreneurs, the medium-sized guys, or the big, large institutions, large companies. So 15 ministries are trying to do all the work at the very same time, and very little seems to be achieved. So we must have this economic cluster. While MITI seems to be the agencies that's heading out, I think that work must consolidate around that thing. So they must get that first among equals approach. And that first among equals approach is a good thing. The other thing, Harit, is this. Many years ago, we cannot say who is who, how many number of entrepreneurs we have, how many number of micro businesses we have. You can toss the number and anybody can say any number. But now we have very clear numbers, right? So we have just over 1 million businesses. We have about 3.92 million people who are either daily wage earners or they are on self-employed. So we have this 3.92 plus 1 million, say nearly about 4.95 million entities to look after. So these 5 million entities, we have very granular data. It's very surprising when, one of the things that has been successful in all this stimulus packages is things like the Grand Khas Prihatin. They've done it 4 rounds. This is the 4th round, which is going on, the 1,500 ringgit. When they started the very first round, when you apply to the LHDN, it's very clear. They very clearly tell you that you're eligible, not eligible, because you're paying such a tax, that you run a company which is, remember, having such a high turnover. So you're not eligible while you can or where you cannot. So this clear number has not seemed to cascade it. We've not learned anything from this micro data that we have. So we don't mind this data. We're still stuck with this thing. This approval bit from MITI that seems to be all this U-turn. Over the months, why haven't we have this very clear idea that, okay, if I have to get business A running, I have to have the supply chain of the business A plus A plus B, C, D, E, and all these guys have to work in tandem. Maybe we didn't have it pre-pandemic, but pandemic we have. So why not we leverage on the data? So that's not really happening, and I think that should happen.
Okay.
You know, Harit.
Yes.
Sorry, if I may, because I see a question on SOPs and someone talking about SOPs and whether we are giving just diplomatic answers or democratic answers, as our Dalbil Singh is saying. Actually, SOPs are there. SOPs are clear. Actually, it is the interpretation sometimes by some people which makes it unclear. Okay, so there are two parts. Okay, let's talk about the so-called, Harith, you're good at this, about the alcohol part, right? Okay, so whether so-called our 7-Eleven, our KK Mart, or 99, whatever, can they be selling alcohol? So, because when you look at the SOPs, all right, there's one part that says essential. So if somebody says this is not essential, but the good part is that when this thing actually came out, all right, our Ketua Police KL, Dato' Admi, straight away, immediately clarified and said, alcohol in convenience stores or in supermarket is part of their business, is allowed. A company selling a kedai only selling alcohol is not allowed. You see, so all is required is that basically sometimes when things are not clear, I think in all, if everything was clear, we wouldn't need lawyers and judges and courts, right? All right. So when things are not clear, we need somebody to interpret it correctly and publicly come out fast enough to say what it is. And I give you another example, which was a big thing only yesterday. Only yesterday. What's the big thing? You must refresh your MySejahtera. Right? A big thing. Because why? Some policemen went to some factory in Perak, somewhere there, and start fining everybody 2,000 ringgit because they never refreshed the MySejahtera. So this morning, when I walk into Bangsa village to buy something, all right, the guy out there is a long queue. I say, hey, my friend, what's the problem? Just look at it. Low risk, let me go scan and go in. He said, I want to see, have you refreshed? I said, but it's not required anymore. He said, no, my management told us we have to look. You must refresh before you go in, you see. So actually, because our case somewhere there, somebody misinterpreted the SOP that is also only meant for industries or people who have already have COVID, where they have to refresh, where they have been, update, so they are being tracked. The rest of us don't have to do it. So, and I'm telling you what's the main problem. The main problem is the police want to do a raid and they want to come out in the news immediately. So when they make a mistake, the mistakes are exemplified. If you do a raid and when you find there's something happening, maybe you bagi warning ke, amaran ke, that's why we are taught in school, right? You don't just rotan somebody, right? Or maybe our teachers used to do that, but normally bagilah first warning, second warning, then you bagilah rotan tu kan. Ini nak bagi saman terus. So everybody panics and the noise is so much noise everywhere. And we say kerajaan, tak buat betul lah, ni kerajaan gagal lah. We are putting a blame for something actually because one officer somewhere did not interpret the SOP correctly and somebody did not come up fast enough. Of course, they did later. After many of us, I think, using our own good officers, Dato' Sri, tolonglah clarify, Dato' Sri, please lah, then, MK comes, MITI comes out of it. It's only for manufacturing, only for people with COVID cases. The rest of you don't have to do it. So, but the good news, the bad news goes everywhere, and the rebuttal and what needs to be done. Finally, only 2 people see it,
Yeah. So what you're talking about is exactly that is the gejala of social media. that is, WhatsApp groups, all these aunties and uncles who are immediately spreading all the most negative news and, doing this will cure you of COVID. And
Work from home, work from home. They call it work from home.
Oh, it's called work from home. So, yeah, unfortunately, yes, you're absolutely correct. One policeman misinterprets the ruling in one area, in one kampung. Boom! Everyone gets a WhatsApp, and then ini semua salah government. Now, I'm gonna bring up a controversial comment because this is the way the show works right here. So this gentleman, Vincent Chong, says, "Oh, we've got the wrong speakers whose alliance to political parties for this talk." Now, yes, so a lot of people out there are listening to us talking, or Dr. Wira and ETK, and they say, yeah. They are big business. They are connected to the government. They are pro-government. I think what's missing. I would like to. I'm just going to want to spend 3 minutes addressing Vincent Chong. In my opinion, this is my honest opinion. To me, it's not about affiliation or who you're friends with. It's about doing what's right and doing what's good for the people. So, in my interpretation, listening to Wira and what you are talking about.
The party I voted for is not in power, lah. Come on, how can you say I'm aligned to anybody? The one we voted for is not there. Like, come on, let's not be political here. We are business people. See that? I think the main thing here is that because sometimes we know what is really happening behind the scene. All right, so we appreciate what is happening. We know what happened, and we actually want to be more proactive. It is not a blame game. It's not a blame game. We run seriously big organization. Okay, I know. I think Maiden, we employ 8,000 people. I know when I tell my people to do something, just to tell my people, please put display Raya Mas. Ni musim Raya. Display Raya Mas. We send a planogram. 67 stores, only 20 do it right. The other 47 don't do it right. We know that when we come up with a policy, we come up with certain guidelines, we can be as detailed as we want, but when it goes down, right, there are always issues. SOP is the same thing. It's very nice on paper. Sometimes it's not drafted very well. That the commas, the dot make a lot of difference, and people tend to misinterpret. And many of us tend to jump to conclusion because we see something in a newspaper. We see something in the Facebook, I think we really need to get to the source. And let me repeat myself, I'm definitely not aligned to any party. All right. I wish I was now, so I get people buy more bakul from me. I'm a businessman, but I'm not getting that many orders here. Okay. All right.
Okay. What? Okay. Someone just received the bakul. My wife has just told me. Okay, so yeah, just to clear the guys, everybody who's watching right now, number one, thank you for all the comments. The comments are blowing up. Please remember to share this Facebook Live on YouTube as well. We are live on my YouTube right now. I just want to bring up this question from someone on YouTube, which you can't see here. This is for Dato Amer. So Patrick Wong asks, sorry, ATK, just going to throw this back at Dato Amir for a while. Dato Amir, why the government do not discuss with you or the associations as stakeholders to improve the situation, be it closing your stores or policies for the rakyat? Now, Dato, you can answer that, but I think actually, yes, they are discussing with you.
Yeah, we keep telling the government all the time, we are okay. We are all available 27. We understand the urgency of coming up with SOPs or guidelines, right? Available. Just call us. Video conferencing now is so easy. Just call us. Hey, tomorrow I'm going to put up this. What are the comments? Okay. I'm not saying they have not done it. They have done it a few times, but they have not done it enough. When they don't do it enough, this is what happens. This is what happens when people don't understand what is essential and what is not essential.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just saw this. I don't know whether Ahmad Hamidi is just having us on. He says Tunem is watching together with Lim Guan Eng. Lim Kit Siang and Mat Sabu. Okay, I think there might be a joke. I don't think all four of them will be watching us right now. But let's say Tun M was watching with LGE, LKS, Lim Guan Eng, Lim Kit Siang, and Mat Sabu, which apparently, Dato' Ami, you voted for. I mean, I'm just thinking by what you said.
With due respect to Tunem, of course.
With due respect to Tun M. ATK, let me ask you this. You are you're on social media. You're with your people, your friends, and all. You gave some wonderful suggestions about what could be immediately changed right now. Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. One thing, name me one thing the government, or rather the powers that be, are doing wrong, and one thing they're doing right. Because I think what they're doing right is not often focused on, and everything is focused on doing wrong. So, for example, I think we've touched on the idea of communication, not fast enough responding to the missteps that certain individuals make. Okay, what is the government doing right, and what could it do better? Let's put it that way, especially specifically with in terms of how to come out of this apparent slump that we are in terms of the economy and just the general mood of the people. Oh, I think we've ATK. Can you hear me?
Harith?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, you keep talking, ATK, and as you keep talking, I'm going to keep talking as well. Are you there, sir?
We could have lost it. Huh?
I'll join you back. I think I kind of.
All right. Okay.
Join us back in just a minute.
All right. So Harith, while our Dato' ATK is joining, let me try and answer that question that you just asked.
Please do.
All right. Okay. While you're waiting, with due respect to Dato' ATK, I think one thing that the government had done right this time will be the FMCO. All right. We really need this lockdown. All right. We really need this lockdown because we have to get the numbers down. I mean, when you look at the last 3 days, you can see the numbers, 7,000, 6,000, 5,000. But you say, oh, numbers are going down. Exciting. Okay, but 5,000 is a very big number, right? And I'm also advocating, I'm sure many of my colleagues will never agree with it. I'm actually advocating that after these 2 weeks, let's have a further 3 to 4 weeks. All right. Whoa. But I tell you, I know. Live events are gone forever, okay? but seriously, the government, the Rakyat, the business people are tired of this lockdown. We cannot have one lockdown after another lockdown. You want to kill as many of us, please kill us now. All right? So those who survive the next 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and we can move on. We are sitting here, very jealous here, looking, people shopping in London, people in New York going out and watching shows and doing, I got family there, and I can see they are doing what, what normally all of us want to do. And seriously, we were here and we were saying, look at those Americans, look at those people in London. They really don't want to obey, this and that. See, we are so good here. But you see what is happening to us? Because we open up too fast. They were more strict, more strict about it, and they did it. And I see that our Asian someone agrees. Yes, I agree. Business is going to suffer, right? But let's do it once and for all. One for all for one, right? Okay, let's do once for all. Let's do this for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. The government must come up to make sure that there's enough support, not only for the B40, I want to repeat, let's not forget the M40, the T20, the businesses that are suffering, and we have to get to this, Harith, where are the banks? Where are the banks? Where are the banks? Because the businesses are suffering. I don't know what number Zafrul is talking about. Respect to him. He's our Minister of Finance. He said 80% of the people don't need moratorium. 80%, you talk to the businessman. Don't talk to the the wage earner. The wage earner do not need the moratorium. I agree with you. They don't. Maybe we made a mistake the last time by giving them the moratorium. Ask the businessman. Tell me one businessman beside Top Glove, probably. All right, beside Top Glove. All right. Beside that one which businessman says, "Oh, it's okay. My cash flow is very good. I don't need any moratorium. Please charge me your base lending rate plus 2%. Please make all the billions. We dua for all the banks in this world." Come on, let's be serious.
Okay, let's talk about that right now. I'm just going to bring something up on screen right now. So here is an article from, I believe it's the Daily Express. Not smart to offer a blanket loan moratorium, says Zafrul. Fighting the COVID-19 war is more of a marathon than a sprint. Therefore, providing a blanket moratorium is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, said Finance Minister Tunku Datuk Sri Zafrul. He questioned the need to deploy more resources than necessary when the journey ahead could be potentially long and challenging. And I'll just read one more quote. Knowing that those who need temporary relief have options and those who can afford it have resumed repayments, is a blanket moratorium a smart thing to reinstate, particularly when we know we must optimize our resources? So let me get your thoughts on that right now. ATK?
Harit, actually, I'm not sure. The last quote that you made, right? So the finance minister said whether it's the smart thing or not, but it's actually the right thing to do. And it's also the timely thing to do, because this blanket moratorium that we're asking for is not a loss to the bank. I mean, many of these things, right? I think FMBA and many of us have actually written down a point-to-point rebuttal of everything Tunku Zafrul, the Honorable Tunku Zafrul has said. We have got 18 pointers. We actually can comment on, rebut every single thing that he has said. Everything from whether this 80%, that's really not evidence-backed. Even if it was true, it would have been true last year, October, when we just finished the first moratorium round. And maybe in October, many people started paying back. But now we are 9 months after that. We had 2 more MCOs down the corner, and we have actually had an economic slide after that. So many people have actually already passed the strapping of the bottom of the barrel. So that's not really true. Whether in terms of whether we can afford it or not, I don't think this is the time the government must start looking at fiscal discipline or looking at our fiscal deficit and says, look, I have to control the deficit. You take a very advanced economy like Australia, they have already decided for the next 3 years, they let the fiscal deficit float. And they will go 3 times what they are. They are 2.5% now. They will rather go to 7.5% and then rein it in after 3 more years. That's exactly what the government should be doing. The other simple points which may want to add on is the fact that the government also has forgotten that maybe Tunku Zafrul was not in the government sector at that time. In 1997, when we had the ASEAN financial crisis, in 2008-2009, when we had the global meltdown, all these times, the government stepped in a very big way. They pumped in 70 billion ringgit of that money at that time, which is 10% of the GDP, to actually prime start or make sure that the banks don't go into financial meltdown. So this is the time when the Rakyat's money is actually under stress, and government should step in a big way. I don't understand where's the reason of why we could do it then, or why we cannot do it now. And this idea of saying, look, we have to conserve resources. People have to conserve resources. So if I continue to pay my installment, which I cannot afford to do at this point in time, where am I supposed to conserve resources? And I'm not even sure how fast and how long or how deep this journey is. We're not really out of the woods yet with our vaccination program running at snail speeds. There is no reason why we've been able to escalate this up. So I really think the finance minister is really out of step as far as this one particular issue is concerned. And I think you must put the Rakyat first, and not so much of the banks. I think that the Veera will probably even add on to that fact that the banks last year made 32 billion ringgit. The cost to the moratorium last year was 6.4 billion. So if 6.4 billion is just about 20% of what the banks made, no businesses made that kind of money. Even if there is essential services, they probably would have just about broken even. So no business made money. they are all making more money than they ever made before. Why can't they actually put up a moratorium now?
Okay.
You know, Harit, you know, I have to, because I'm one of the biggest borrowers outside. I know what it is like. All right. Let me be very clear what banks are doing. All right. Number one, okay. Number one, banks are reducing facility. I don't know what Zafrul, Yamulia Zafrul. I don't know what he's talking about, seriously. All right. I'm a borrower. A lot of my colleagues in the retail industry, in other industries, are getting their loans being recalled by banks. All right. We have even written to Bank Negara. Bank Negara doesn't reply. All right. So, colleagues, many of my retail industry people, banks are recalling. What is he talking about? Talk to your bankers. Bankers, to talk to someone, we have to talk to people who have a heart. Huh? I mean, they're all hardened. I don't want to say hardened criminals, but they're all hardened people. You know, we really do not know how to talk to the bank, because they say, "Oh, your cash flow is not so good. You know, you're doing so well before. You know, now we don't see how you're going to survive the next MCO. Like, we are the cost of the MCO. You know, we are the one saying we want MCO, we want MCO. We don't want to do business anymore. We don't want to pay our banks. Come on." Banks, we have been doing business for 10, 20 years. You know, when we are in so many groups, we have all these webinars and, camps. When we talk to our colleagues, when they tell us that they are crying, they are crying. And you can see even on the comments, when I say, please extend the MCO, and the comments are, Dato, we small businesses cannot survive. I understand all this because I'm a businessman. There are so many suppliers who even come to me. Datuk, kalau kalian ni boleh bayar cepat sikit tak? Kita tak tahan, Datuk. Boleh bayar cepat sikit tak? Because we understand how difficult it is. Zafro needs to pick up that phone and talk to borrowers. Okay, talk to borrowers. How many of them have been rejected? I even heard a colleague of mine telling us, right? When he couldn't pay, Syukur Alhamdulillah, it wasn't me, all right, somebody else, but still someone I know personally, he couldn't pay, he need to restructure. And the bank is asking restructuring fees. Is that the right thing to do? Dah lah dia nak, orang kata apa, jatuh ditimpa tangga, it's like that. The banks want restructuring fee. They are increasing the cost that they are charging. If they are charging 1+, now they want 1.5. The guy is dying, and you say 1+. There's a saying, when you have a wound and you're bleeding, what the bank do? Instead of putting a pack, they take 5 lipis tau, dia letak atas tu tau. Pedih lagi sakit. I'm an ex-banker. Like I mentioned, I worked for 10 years. I'm really glad I left the bank, because I wouldn't be in my conscience be able to do what banks are doing now. So I want to say this again. All I'm saying is, yes, I think we need an extended FMCO because we need to get out of this. All right? People are going to suffer. This is where both of us are saying the government needs to step up. Don't talk about deficit. Zafro, don't tell me the bank need the $40-50 billion. All right? Give the money to the businesses. It could be small business, medium business, big business. Because we are the one who's going to pay you the taxes, Kita minta duit halal saja, we are not doing illegal things, we are good people, we are suffering,
Harit, just adding on to this, right? So it is not that we have not been proactive, We have, even before the moratorium was announced, and I mean, it was not announced, like when Tan Sri Muhyiddin mentioned about the Permakasa Plus, he mentioned some outlines of the moratorium not being extended as much as we want or blanket. But we actually have been very proactive and gone to the banks and even Ministry of Finance and Bank Negara Malaysia themselves to actually put out a very clear 8 pointers in terms of what the moratorium should be. Point number 1, the coverage. It must include not only B40, it must include the M40, it must include the individuals, it must include the businesses, it must include the daily wage earners. So these 5 million people plus the individuals must be covered. Second, it must cover all facilities. Don't forget that the first moratorium, while it was good, didn't cover the credit facilities, didn't cover the leasing guys. So if you had taken a leasing facility or a credit facility, you were not covered by them. So we actually said this must also cover those facilities. Remember, the first round, even the overdrafts are not covered. Third, we talk about period. In terms of this period, must be extended right up to December 31st. You cannot have a moratorium for 3 months or 6 months. It must go up to December 31st, because planning is very, very important. You cannot tell how long this whole thing is going to start. Fourth, in terms of the interest rate. So we're not asking for an interest rate which is zero. We're not saying, look, we don't want the banks to lose money, fact enough, but we're saying charge at cost of funds. So whatever your cost of funds, it's a very easily publishable data. Look at the cost of funds and actually give us that same cost of funds. So you don't lose money, but neither do we. Because now we're compounded. 6 months interest is not 6 months interest alone. 6 months interest is compounded many, many times. So you end up paying nearly 9 or 11 months down the line. And then we look at other things like the system, right? So now it's an opt-in system. Kalau nak moratorium, you kena pergi buat satu permohonan. So we don't want an opt-in system. You must have an opt-out system. Opt-out system is easier. In a war, you must have an opt-out system. You cannot hope that the M40, B40 or whatever 40 will turn up at the bank and hope that they'll get a facility. I must be given it automatically. If I want, I should be able to come out. The other important thing is the waiver. All these restructuring, rescheduling fees is already a huge impounded cost on already a sinking ship, and that's really a bad deal. So we have been very, very proactive, and like what Dato' Vira said, look, I think Tengku Zafrul, for all his expertise and experience in the banking system, I think this one slipped through.
Wow. Okay.
He's making us. He wants us to what you call ask for a waiver. He wants us to be beggars. Seriously, like you're begging the banks. Help me, please. So bad.
And Harit, one more important point, right? So if you look at the articles, right, one of the things is, I think that was what irked everybody, is like what Dato says, like, it's adding insult to injury. When he said, I cannot tell the bank what to do, that was such a no-no. Because why couldn't we do it last time around? Why couldn't we do it last year? And now we are saying, look, I have to invoke the emergency. And even if I invoke emergency, I have to pay them compensation. I don't know whether he's lining up a default system that in case PM relents or the cabinet relents and says, let's do an automatic moratorium, he's already built up a case and says, look, we have to compensate the banks a huge amount of money. But that really doesn't work very well. Why we didn't do it last time around? They say they lost 6.4. They didn't lose the $6.4 billion. They postponed that. It was a deferred amount that they will collect eventually down the line. Anyway, it is compensated for in their system itself. So, and they've got enough acts. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you there's enough acts to actually give them the power within the Financial Services Act, that Bank Negara Acts, to make him compel the banks to do what's right for the society and the people now.
I was just about to ask that question. Yeah, I've been looking at some of the comments. People are saying, yeah, banks are monsters and blah, blah, blah. Can the government turn to the banks, which are essentially private, essentially?
Why could we do it last time?
Can they turn and say, oi, do as we tell you. Go, give money. Can they do that?
There's a lot of things people can do. There's a lot of things. Come on, you are the Minister of Finance. All right. Okay. You can't, if you cannot do it, I hate to say it, but then you shouldn't be there. You look, I know Zafrul, I know him quite well, but we call a spade a spade, We are not aligned to anybody. We are aligned to only our rakyat. Okay, the Malaysian public. Yeah, right. And I think something had gone wrong somewhere. Okay, somebody has lost his heart somewhere. All right. I think you go to your conscience and ask yourself, what is the right thing to do for the country and for the rakyat, and not for the banks? How can you even think of compensation to someone who already made $40 to $50 billion? It doesn't even make common sense. It doesn't make common sense.
Harriet, one more thing, right? So you asked a question, can he compel? So he made one more argument, right? And saying, look, all these banks are actually owned by big institutions like EPF and PNB and all that. So actually, it's the stakeholders. Actually, the stakeholders are now in distress. So it's high time that the banks have one. Two, illogical to say that they cannot do it, because when the banks were in distress, I'm sure everybody remembers this Dana Harta, Dana Jamit. Such a great thing, right? 2008, 2009, we had a Parliament Act passed for Dana Jamit, Dana Harta, and says, look, all the bad debts of the bank which were in distress were picked up by Dana Harta, Dana Jamit, literally relieving the balance sheets of the bank and improving their credit rating. So if that was possible then, why is it not possible now? It just beats me. Why is it not possible when the most important stakeholders, and going by Tengku Zafrul's word, the shareholders themselves are in distress? What else do you need? I really don't understand.
It is payback time. Come on. We did it for you. I was around during Dana Hatta time, okay? All right? Okay? Payback time. The riot. I mean, basically, the government bail out the bank. When the government bails out, it's always riot money. Now's the time. Payback time, my dear. Come on. Kalau you tak payback sekarang, lain kali bila you minta, kita pun ingat juga. Alright? We are all good people here. Right? But when you push it too far, nanti kita memberontak, nanti lagi susah bank.
Okay. You know what? What I find amazing about this particular conversation is the two of you, my guests, have what seem like logical, coming from experience. Both of you have been around long enough, and logical and experienced answers and suggestions as to what should be done. Can I play devil's advocate? Because I would love to ask these exact questions to our beloved Tengku Zafrul. Okay, this is just your opinion. Why is he making the decisions he is currently making? Just your opinion, so you can just preface it by saying, just my opinion. I don't know if it's a fact. But why do you think he's not doing all the things that you say he should do? Anybody would like to answer, ATK?
I let that to ATK.
So I suppose that's the thing. So I put my caveat that it's this is expertise, my personal opinion. The experience will come from Dr. Amir's answer, right? So
true.
Let
me clarify this. This is just an opinion. Carry on.
Correct. Without prejudice, I think there is a conflict of interest position. It's primarily because I think Tengku Zafrul, while he has done a great job being a finance minister during a very politically unstable time, but I think Tengku Zafrul also, it's very hard to completely be devoid of the interest that he may have had with his friends in the bank. And actually, I did read it somewhere in Twitter, right? So somebody said he's bukan wakil rakyat, he's wakil bank, because while I am one of those who probably profess for that, some ministries must be run by professionals, but this time around, we may have made a mistake.
Oh, okay. Let me just settle on that comment for just a moment, because I'm actually in agreement with you. I'm going to spend 45 seconds saying this. It amazes me that we do not have a system which is fairly impossible to implement, where we vote not for a party, but we vote for the position. So, for example, who do you want to be Minister of Finance? We go, this person is very good, this person. And he could be from this party. Who do you want to be Minister of Defense? This person. And from a different party. So we vote the best person for the job to do the job, rather than vote for the party, and then the party then chooses who does the job. But what you have just said is, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misquoted you, you said although this person is from a banking background, it may not have been.
Harit.
Yes.
We have such an excellent civil service. All right.
Agreed.
I'm telling you, we have an excellent civil service. All we need to do, seriously, I'm going to get a lot of messages from someone tomorrow. We do not need politicians to get involved in running the country. All right. If we just have our civil service run the country, without fear and favor, I'm very sure the country will be in better hands. All right? Politicians come and go. They have their own interest to take care. Go to the riot, visit those people, give the bakul, RM50, hug the baby, take 2 photographs. Fine, fine. With due respect to the politician, the country is better run by civil servants. They know debit and credit. They understand. They have no other agenda because their agenda is to serve the country. That's what they are there for. And they always do a better job. When you talk to the civil servant, they know what is the right thing to be done. The only problem is sometimes they have to listen to the politician. It happened the last time, and we voted somebody out, and I hope it's not happening again. Seriously.
Harriet, one more thing, right? So you must add on to this point, right? So while I did say yes, the finance minister may be out of the woods in terms of this position, but that's why, right? You see certain technical ministries. So those who've been in civil service will understand that only education, Kementerian Kerja Raya, and Ministry of Health have got DG positions, Director General positions. You don't find Director General positions in any other ministries. You only got KSUs. Because in these ministries, the technical input is very, very important. And that's why we have a DG of Health and a KSU of Health. So we have got, like a CEO plus a professional head. So this must happen also in finance ministry because they are the bookkeepers and the purse strings are with them, and they must be very, very clear about what decisions to make.
Okay. Oh, wow. Guys, I gotta say something. I don't know about the viewers out there, those of you who are watching on YouTube and also on Facebook. This has been a really, really amazing conversation, in my honest
You'll get
opinion.
our cars crashed tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm working from home. That's why I'm not leaving home.
Unfortunately, I have to go to my stores, so. Right.
No, here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, what I want to encourage and what I've enjoyed about this particular session is that we can have different point of views. We are allowed to have different point of views,
sure,
as long as we present it in a smart, logical, and basically a normal, friendly way. Because at the end of the day, and I'm speaking for myself, and I think I speak for both of you as well, we're concerned is just basically for, number one, ourselves, our family, our community, and basically the rakyat. That's basically end of it. Now, regardless of who you are, I know we put people into labels of B and M and T and all. At the end of the day, we need to work organically together. So that Amir, you were talking earlier, like, yeah, if you close a store, but where's someone going to get their sayo? Where's someone going to get their fish and stuff like that? Doesn't matter who owns the store, who's buying from the store. We are all together as one. We've been talking for over an hour and 10 minutes, and it's really, really exploding. There's still people signing on. Are you guys okay with just going on for a few more minutes? I just want to check with
problem.
you.
No problem. The night is young.
The night is young. Oh, we can all go to the tin mine later on. That's an old school reference.
We can't even go for a teh tarik, unfortunately.
Can't even go for teh tarik, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just going to throw in this question from Ricky Ho. We should choose the expertise in the field to run the respective ministry instead of politicians. It's simply because we cannot trust much on politicians. Oftentimes, most politicians in Malaysia have a flip-flop attitude where they can't make up their mind. Now, yeah, I know that unfortunately that is the system. That is the current system, not just in Malaysia, in most countries. However, there are I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Federation of Malaysian Business Associations. You are 262 companies or
Harry, just 1 second before you go to that. We have some very senior politicians who are very, very experienced. All right. I'm not throwing a stone against politicians, because I've been around long enough, right? We have some very, very good politicians out there who really understand the needs of the Rayat and how to run the country. Maybe they are no longer in the limelight now for whatever reasons. They are good people out there. Even now, we have some. I don't want to mention that people say I'm aligned to A or B. Definitely, there even now, seriously, there are few politicians who are really good and who knows what needs to be done. I think the leader, the prime minister here, had to get his handle right. I'm sure he's trying to do his best. I mean, it's not easy to sit on someone else's chair and talk about how easy it is. But when you are sitting on that chair, then you know how difficult it is. You have to balance a lot of things. It's not easy to do. I'm sure the prime minister is trying his best. There's some good politician, and the one that not good. You know what? You should find another job if you can.
Oh,
Harry,
yes. 80K.
if I could just add on to this, right? So another thing that while we had this conversation for the last 70 minutes or so, is in terms of use of terminologies, right? So again, even though we started off by saying, have they done enough? I think we must also put it in context of this economic stimulus packages that we have had all this while, the 7 that we mentioned, right? So starting from Panjana, Prihatin, Pemekasan, now we got Pemekasan Plus and Permai somewhere in between and all that. So we've got seven stimulus packages, and we've got $380 billion, 60 billion of them are actually in cash. But actually, we tend to use the word stimulus. Most of it have actually been a relief package. There's a huge difference between relief packages and stimulus packages, because relief packages are primarily what they are now, which means you just keep sustainability, you just keep sustenance to make sure that they have food on the table while you have very little economic activity that's happening, and you actually apply it as a circuit breaker. So that's relief, just like, handout, a bridge. Whereas a stimulus package in actuality would have very high economic activities. You would have hiring, which is going on. We don't have hiring now. They've got 5.1% in terms of unemployability. So we must have stimulus, we must have economy driving forward, we must have investments, we must have hiring, and that's when stimulus will happen. What the government doesn't have now, or hasn't really come up with, this post-pandemic recovery. Now we've got the vaccines, they are slow, we understand, but going by what YB Khairi says, and even going by what the Prime Minister says, by end of this year we'll have herd immunity. What next? What's the exit plan? We don't have an exit plan, and that's really scary, because by the time we are at the end of this lab, we are now at the penultimate lab. When we are at the end of this lab, nobody knows where to turn, and that's a big disaster waiting to happen. And the other thing, right, so I just wanted to add on to the point while I got disconnected earlier, is that, we have last 2 days, many people have been happy. Semalam baru 6,000 case, hari ini baru 5,000 case. So we're looking like, oh, wow, we seem to be doing better, right? So we're not doing the 9,000 story. But actually, the so-called number of cases is probably not the right figure. And why after 15 months, we don't have this composite figure, which must have in terms of how many we are discharging, how many we are admitting, how many are in ICU, how many we are tubed, how many we have in mortality, and all this put together in a composite figure and says, look, because I can bet you the numbers have not really come out, because it's a long weekend, we are testing less, we're having less. Wait till we start picking up the next couple of days. We will have the numbers go back to 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever. So we must have a composite number, and there must be an agile roadmap in terms of how we are exiting this whole pandemic episode.
Dato 80K, don't ask for higher numbers, then you get higher numbers. You ask for lower numbers, God gives you lower numbers. All right? So we have to be positive here. Let's ask for lower numbers. Let's dua for the lower numbers. Let's dua that our bankers are not heartless bankers. They're good people out there. Our politicians all have, they want to do the right thing for the country. Let's think good things. Let's think good things tonight before we go to sleep tonight, because you think good things happen.
MashaAllah. No, so wrapping up. I kind of that I mean I kind of I agree with you. It has always been my fervent belief that there are good people on each side. It used to be two sides of the political divide. I think it's three or four now. There are good people in every. And there are many who want to do good things. So just to have a blanket statement, all politicians are crap, all politicians are corrupt, I think is very, very unfair to the very,
That's
very
right.
good.
That's right. There are a lot of good people.
There are a lot of good people.
You,
And yeah, sorry,
you know,
Dato.
you know. No, sorry. I know, Harit. I mean, basically, the whole challenge, the whole thing we see is we must look at things like people follow, people do good things, right? It's just like when you put CCTV cameras in a hypermarket. We do that to tell people we are watching you. We're not doing it to catch a thief. We want to prevent it. You have SOPs, people follow. Police should be going around, not summoning people, all these things. It is what is actually backfiring, getting people angry. And all this anger comes out. All this anger comes out, this is what is bad for the country. This is what is bad for the Rakyat. Because we are very angry people. We are not going to be able to solve the problem of the country when we are angry. It will not work. The government will have to make sure the Rakyat is no longer angry. And how is the Rakyat no longer angry? They got food on the table. They don't get unnecessary saman. There must be something that people know that the government is doing. You must not only be doing it, but you must also be seen to be doing it. Unfortunately, they cannot be going around carrying babies anymore. But they have to be seen to be doing it. Then only people know that something is happening on the ground. We need more people to speak up. Actually, I'm sure a lot of ministries are doing a lot of good things, but we don't hear enough. That's why we feel things are not happening. That's why sometimes if people say like myself or Dr. ATK, we are being pro something, because sometimes we know what is happening behind the scene. Huh? And when you have Saturdays and Sunday nights, you're doing Zoom calls with meaty people, with our KPD and HEP. The KPD and HEP guy, we said, can we have a Zoom call at 7 o'clock? We tell him at 9:30. He said, okay, I'll do it for 10 o'clock tonight. I mean, that is dedication. A civil service that is dedicated. Can you imagine? That is a Saturday and the guy said, I will come on a Zoom call with the industry. Let me explain why we are saying this. So that's why I feel very strongly that we have a very good civil service out there. We got a lot of good people out there who really want to do for the country. The civil service.
Yes.
I say civil service. I didn't say politician.
Whoa. Let's take
Not all. I know we are alive, but what I say is always comes from my heart. Like I said, there are always good people out there. There are good people.
That is why I have absolutely loved tonight's conversation, Dr. Weera, as well as Dr. ATK. The both of you have I will be honest, the both of you have, if not changed, at least shifted my opinion about what's going on right now. And if I'm looking at the comments on Facebook and as well as YouTube, I think a lot of people have shifted their feelings about what's going on. To put it in a nutshell, at the end of the day, we just want a better situation for the Rakyat and for the people. So I want to thank both of you for being on the show.
Harit, before you end, I have to say one word, Harit. I want to apologize. Sorry, I need to apologize to Zafrul. No hard feelings, Zafrul. I'm telling you, I'm sure you are a good man. You are doing the best that you are trying to do. Okay, all of us want to do good things. Sometimes we do not know how to do it. Ask us, we will help you. We are here to help everyone. Seriously.
Yeah, you have a very good point. At the end of the day, people, I do believe there's good in most people, if not all people. And yeah, sometimes by circumstance or by pressure or by alliance or by economics or whatever, we are some people are forced or felt forced to do, to make a decision which may not be the best for everyone. But thank you so much. I am honored to have the both of you on the show. ATK, before we go, any last?
Yeah, Harit, actually, I just wanted to add on to the thing, right? So we're not only doing different things, but we're also doing things differently now. And I think regardless of whether it's the civil service or politicians, or I think Malaysians have actually stepped up at the game. While we may not have done this all right all the time, but I think as Malaysians, we've been very, very resilient. While we are in all different boats, but we are in the same storm. And I think we would come back fighting out of this, provided everything else works out as we had planned. And I think very soon, as a nation, we will rise up to the challenges.
Well said, well said. And Dato' Wira, any final words of wisdom to the gentle people out there?
Let's all get on our WhatsApp and say good things.
Oh, good one. I like that. Get on our WhatsApp and say good things.
I think that will make a difference to all of us, because positivity breeds positivity.
Positivity brings positivity. Okay, before we go, I just want to bring this up. I would like to encourage everyone to go to this this website, this page, and sign this petition, hashtag Rakyat Perlu Moratorium. I think 12,000 have signed. We're trying to get to 15,000. I will share the website with everyone right now. So please do go there and sign this petition, just basically because based on what we've all been talking about, what we've all been discussing right now, I think it's just important that all of us get on the same page and hope for the best for the country moving on from this point onwards. With that, I want to say thank you so much to both my guests, gentlemen, Dato' Wira Amir, as well as Dato' ATK. Thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, if you can go to Federation of Malaysia Business Associations, seek them out, follow them on Facebook as well. And I do hope for everyone's sake that we are all, we see brighter clouds, lighter clouds. We see a rainbow at the end of this current storm that we're all facing. Guys, thank you so much.
Rainbow of many colors.
Rainbow has many colors. Yes, indeed. And yes, share positive things on WhatsApp. To everybody who's watching on Facebook, thank you again. Right now, I'm just going to say a quick goodbye to Dr. Amir as well as ATK. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks for having us on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night. I'm just going to be taking them out. To everybody else who's been watching on Facebook, thank you for all your comments. Amazing as well on YouTube as well. This has been absolutely incredible. I know we couldn't answer all your questions, but we will try and do that as soon as we can. It has been my absolute pleasure. I got to say, tonight's conversation completely took me by surprise. I have learned a lot. I have shifted a lot, and I really, truly believe that together as Malaysians, we can really, if we need to, put pressure on the powers that be to make a change. So once again, thank you for watching What's Going On Malaysia. Last request, please, once again, share this Facebook Live with everyone on your Facebook. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And also DM me or write in the comments. Let me know who you want me to get on the show. I have so far, people have been asking me to get Tun. In this show, everybody's asked me to be getting Tengku Zafrul as well. Maybe, yeah. I'll reach out to them, see if I can get them. Once again, terima kasih everyone. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've had as good a time as I have had on this. My name is Harith Iskandar, and this has been What's Going On Malaysia. I'll see you guys real soon. Take care.